Today we're talking about the enabler. Yeah, the enabler. I don't know if anybody ever had to deal with an enabler or was the enabler or was the person that was being enabled, but I was definitely the person that was being enabled. I also was an enabler as well. I played all the roles, so I know exactly what I'm talking about, because honestly I had self-accountability, because that's how you have to grow. Honestly, you have to be self-accountable about certain traits that you put out, and you also have to be self-accountable about the stuff that you put up with as well. And sometimes we enable things because we love people, and we think that telling them about themselves equals disrespect, just because we've been programmed to believe that speaking up for yourself or telling somebody that they're wrong is disrespect, because our parents literally taught us this. They're like, you talking to me and telling me that I'm wrong is disrespectful. That's what they literally used to say. So no wonder why it was hard for us to speak up, because we got yelled at for it. Today though, we're talking about being enabled, because the enabler is going to be another day. Okay, it's going to be another episode. But now I'm going to talk about how I was being enabled, because yeah, I was toxic. Had no idea I was toxic until I was mirrored that I was toxic. But I didn't think that I was toxic because no one ever stuck up and told me to my face that I was toxic. Nobody ever told me that I was the problem. Nobody ever told me that I was abusive. Nobody ever told me that I was narcissistic. Nobody ever told me that I was selfish. Nobody have ever told me these things, because I felt like they were scared of me. Because maybe I was too dominant, maybe I was too masculine, and maybe I was coming off too strong, and I feel like I've always have. And when you do come off strong, people tend to have a fear of you, and I believe that a lot of people did have a fear of me because I did come off strong. I was reactive, I wasn't nice. When I was mad and when I was triggered, I wasn't a nice person, and when people saw that side of me, they were okay with that side of me, because again, they didn't know how to tell me that I was like this. Because they felt like if they did tell me that I was like this, it would provoke some type of anger out of me. And I kind of understand that, but at this end of the day, to me, real love is when somebody tells you about yourself. And if that triggered me and made me upset and I ended up cutting you off, then that's my L, okay? Because a friend that's going to tell you about yourself is a fucking friend. A friend that's gonna allow you to act out of character is not a fucking friend. Unpopular opinion. Just because you can boss that man around, just because you boss that woman around, doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. You know? When I think about a relationship, I think about equality, independence, shared love, shared interests, shared values. It cannot be one-sided. You know, when you're over here bullying, being dominant, over a man or over a woman, it's like there's no equality in that. And I feel like for me, my first boyfriend, I felt like it was all about me. And although I love it being all about me, I believe that a true partnership has independence, have their own individuality, and it shouldn't just be about one person, because then the other person honestly doesn't get to find who they are through you, and I feel like that's karmic as fuck. I know we all want men that just focus all on us, and yeah, that's 100% right. Your man should be focused all on you, but your man should have a sense of self. He shouldn't be following you all around. He shouldn't be hanging out with your friends. He shouldn't be going to your things, and he doesn't have his own things. It's all about your life, and he doesn't have a life of his own. That to me is a form of toxicity. That's not a relationship that can give you the space to grow, because it's all about you. And when it's all about you, it's easy to be enabled in your toxicity. You're not going to be able to grow into the individual that you need to be grown into if you have somebody that's down your throat all the time, and as well as somebody who only sees you as a star and sees you as the best. And you know, like, not just because people could take that wrong. It's good that they see you as a star, but they need to see themselves as a star too. Okay? There needs to be confidence. There needs to be, they just need to understand their worth, because you don't want to be the only one to understand your worth. Okay? And that's the way I'm gonna put it, because if a person's not confident, they're gonna follow behind you for everything, and this is when it becomes one-sided, because a relationship is supposed to be 50-50, and not in a 50-50 turn of, hey, you 50 pay the bills, you 50 take care of this. No, you guys are supposed to be your own person 50-50. Like, you can't expect your partner to carry all of everything and you're just following along with them. You don't have no friends, you don't have no opportunities, you don't have no job, you don't have nothing, you know, like, you don't have your own life outside of that person. And that to me is codependency. That to me is toxic, and this is where a narcissist can be created, because they know that, hey, this person needs me, so I can manipulate and control. And that's exactly what I did. At the time, what I didn't realize is that I was isolating my ex-boyfriend away from everything that meant something to him. Because at the time, I thought it was normal for, you know, a man to just be directly focused on your life and everything that comes with you. I thought that was healthy. But technically, it's not seen as bad, but it's not healthy. Because you should want your partner to have their own life. You should want your partner to have their own friends. You should want your partner to have their own career. You should want your partner to have their own hobbies and a life outside of you. Because again, that's that 50 that's gonna come into your 50, and then it becomes 100, because you guys are both bringing something to each other. Okay, I wasn't doing that. I was isolating my ex from his life, from his friends, from his career, from the things that he wanted in life, and I was not supportive of it, because I didn't even think that it was important, because he never shared his interests with me. He never said that this is what he wanted to do. He never really showed or shared excitement about it, so I didn't care. I didn't care to ask, and that's selfish. Okay, you can't be in a relationship with somebody that's selfish, because it's going to be hard for them to see you the way that you want to be seen. So you continue to, you know, do whatever they want you to do, because that makes them happy. It doesn't matter about your happiness, because, hey, like, as long as she's happy, I'm happy. That is not a relationship, and that's not a good relationship. You are in a relationship with somebody that is suffocating, insufferable, and toxic. Yeah, I just didn't care about his life or what he really wanted, because to me, I was driven. I knew what I wanted. And since I knew what I wanted, it was good to have somebody that was going to support me through everything. So yeah, he was literally filming all my behind the scenes for my photo shoots. He was going on tour with me. He's hanging out with all my friends. Anything that I say, he would do. And although that was amazing, but as I grow up, I think that individuality is the best key. It's the best key, because then you have your own life, I have mine, then we come together and we bring our two separate lives together and make it into one big life. And I don't think I've ever did that in my first relationship, because I was narcissistic, I was selfish, and no one told me that I was wrong. And since nobody told me that I was wrong, I was able to go that far of pushing him behind in his life, because I didn't care about his life. And that's why it was so easy to walk away and go find another guy, because I never was emotionally connected enough to care, because it was all about me. I loved the way that he loved me. I loved the way that he was pouring into me. I loved how it was all about me. That's what I loved. And I can say now that I definitely did love him as a person. I loved him. I loved how sweet he was. I loved how amazing of a guy he was. I love how patient he was with me. I loved him as a person, don't get me wrong. But what I loved about him even more was how much he loved me, because I was not secure. I was not the girl that was as confident, as loud as I used to be. You know, I needed that attention, I needed that validation, and he gave me everything that I needed. And that's why I said, like, it's a narcissist codependent relationship. It becomes that because it's all about me, and I'm controlling and manipulating, and the codependent is enabling and allowing, and is doing everything that the narcissist want. Excuse me. The codependent is doing everything that the narcissist wants to do, because the codependent needs that love and validation for themselves too. Because without this narcissist, they would feel nothing. They wouldn't feel happy. They wouldn't feel secure. So he enabled all my behaviors. And I'm going to tell you, I was not a nice person. Like I said, I was reactive. I was mean. I was a bossy. I was a bitch. And this is just me telling you this because being enabled is not cool. You need somebody to tell you about your motherfucking self. Because imagine if I was still continuing to be in a relationship where I'm constantly being enabled. I would become a narcissist, a full-blown fucking narcissist. All it takes is for you to have a little bit of narcissistic tendencies, and you keep doing them every single year for you to become a full-blown narcissist. I am a daughter of a narcissist. I'm a daughter of a narcissist. I'm also a daughter of a codependent. I'm also a daughter of an enabler. And I've seen how my life was destroyed off of being enabled, off of someone being enabled, off of someone not standing up to somebody's behavior, somebody's wrong destruction. Yeah, I've lived that. And it destroyed my fucking life to the point where now I am now enduring narcissistic abuse after I was the narcissistic one in the relationship. But I didn't know that because nobody stood up to me. I didn't think that my behaviors were wrong because I learned these behaviors from my family, and everybody acted like that. Nobody was telling each other, hey, you're fucking wrong. This is wrong. If you did something wrong that was physically wrong, visibly wrong, they're telling you about it. But behaviors, gossiping, judgment, selfish tendencies, manipulation, lies, deception, nobody was ever correcting nobody on that shit. It got to the point where manipulation became so normal. When you bring it up now, you're wrong. I don't think that's how it happened. Because that's the only way to feel better about all the shame and all the guilt and all the trauma that has endured in everybody's life. It's easier to be in denial than it is to just be honest. And I like truth. That's what stimulates my mind. That's what gets me to become a better person, when somebody tells me the truth. And nobody ever did that shit. Instead, they enabled me. I was losing all these fucking friends, and I couldn't understand why I was losing friends. I couldn't understand why I couldn't keep a friend. I couldn't understand. But guess what? I always had my ex-boyfriend. My ex-boyfriend was tolerating my shit. My friends weren't. Because I could admit, I was a good friend. My intentions were always pure, but I had toxic tendencies. I had narcissistic tendencies. I was selfish. I was fake. I talked. I gossiped. I judged. You know, I talked shit and I got caught. When I got caught, it's fuck you, bitch. I'm not fucking apologizing for that shit. That's how I used to be. And you know, and then we move on. I never talked to her again. I never talked to him again. And you know, you forget about this shit eventually, and then boom, you move on. But now I'm like so obsessed with being accountable that, you know, I can sit here and say today that, yeah, I'm sure I've done so many people wrong. I don't remember half the shit I did because, you know, I can only remember certain parts that was very extremely traumatic for me. But what I do know is that I was enabled, and nobody was really standing to me. And if they did stand to me again, they were cut the fuck off, and I said, fuck you, bitch. And that was it. And then when the people that meant something to me saw the fuck you bitch part, they didn't want to feel that fuck you bitch. They didn't want to deal with that. So instead, they enabled, they stayed until the universe pulled us apart and freed them from the karmic tie of me. Like I said, baby, I was literal karma in this man's life. I was the karmic in somebody's life. I was the karmic in a friend's life. I was only a lesson in somebody's life. I wasn't going to be their wife. I wasn't going to be their end all be all. I wasn't going to be their sister. I wasn't going to be at their wedding. Like, I wasn't going to be, you know, I was just for a season. And it's okay to be just for a season for certain people. Because, you know, we're only here to teach each other about each other. And I hope that I taught those people that, hey, you need to stand the fuck up for yourself and don't let people bully you. Don't let people be selfish. Don't let people control you. Okay? Don't. Like, I hope that I taught those people that. Because that's how I see things now. I don't see things as, oh, fuck that man because he treated me like shit. No, I said, thank you for showing me that you had so much power and control over myself. I will no longer be that person to fucking let somebody have this much control and power over me. I now have to turn that power into myself so that I can focus on me and so I can do the things that I want to do instead of giving someone so much power over my life where I'm losing myself, where I'm literally making my life all about them because I don't have no sense of identity or sense of direction. I will never ever let myself get to that point in my life. And I hope that every single person that has enabled me got to that point and learned that lesson, because it's not fair to be the codependent person all your life. The person that's doing everything for one person while they're sucking the life, the blood, the adrenaline, the happiness out of your brain. You don't deserve that. You deserve to live. You deserve to love. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be respected. And enablers, they are never going to reach that because they're okay with being the friend, okay with being the person in a relationship that gets walked all over. Life is not about being walked all over, okay? You are the creator, the king, the queen, and you can't let these motherfuckers enable you. As somebody that that was enabled, as somebody that was a narcissistic, okay? Don't let people take control and power over your life, okay? That's not the way to do it, because you'll end up being somebody's background character, yes men, forever if you don't realize the cycle. Okay? What happened was I was a piece of shit and I wanted another man. And since I wanted another man, because again, all that stuff that man has done for me did not make me care. You want to know why? Because my heart wasn't in it. My soul wasn't in it. My spirit didn't care. My spirit and soul and heart only liked the way that he really truly loved me. And he deserved someone so much better. And he deserves someone so much better that's going to love him unconditionally and love him for his soul and love him for the man that he is, you know? And I definitely did to the best of my ability. But when you were raised by a narcissist, when you were raised to manipulate, when you were raised to kill, steal, and destroy, literally, because like you've been raised by demons, you know, you couldn't help that until somebody reflect that back to you. And that's exactly what the guy that I was attracted to, that I left him for, he did that. He literally reflected to me that I was a piece of shit, and that's why I was dealing with years of karma because of that shit, bro. Years. If you thought that I didn't learn my motherfucking lesson, bitch, I definitely did. I had years of motherfucking karma for the way that I treated that man, all right? Trust and believe. And you want to know why though? It's because again, I was paying attention to the details. I realized that, wait, why the fuck did I attract this man when I just had this? I was like, why the fuck is my life so hard now? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then that's when I realized that I was toxic. That's when I realized I had mommy and daddy issues. That's when I realized that I was not raised right. That's when I realized it all. Like I said, my ex-boyfriend, he had a perfect family, a perfect home, Okay, they were raised to be lovers. And I couldn't appreciate that love because I couldn't see that love. That love did not exist in me. It only existed in the physical aspect of love. The physical things that he was doing for me is what I considered love. I didn't consider all of his actions, all of the way that he treated me and the way he was showing up for me. I didn't really see that as love because I didn't have anyone that ever showed up for me consistently like how he did, especially a man. So it was easy to overlook that. It was easy to move on from that because what I did recognize was the chaos in somebody else. And since we were both chaotic, it was like, okay, this is the man that I'm supposed to be with because this one is too good for me. I'm not worthy of this. So let me self-sabotage, let me destroy the one thing that was good for me in a sense, but the enabling wasn't as good, okay? I will say that. And he wasn't going to be able to show me that I was being enabled because he didn't have that power within himself. But he was a good guy and I would never ever take that away from him. Ever. Like, ever. I have no bad shit to say about anybody anymore. I've grown up. I have nothing bad to say. I'm very grateful for every single man that was in my life. But when you grow up in a toxic home, you're not going to be able to appreciate. Okay? You're not. You're going to destruct. You're going to destruct. You're going to destruct. And this is the same that goes for a narcissist. Okay? Narcissistic people don't love themselves. So what do? They destruct. They destruct. They destruct because they know that they can't have a consistent relationship because consistency means self-awareness, and self-awareness means digging deeper, and digging deeper means uncovering why you think and move the way that you do. And sometimes it's just a lot. But for me, it was a lot, but I also wasn't around people who told me that I was problematic. I also wasn't around people who told me that I was a problem. And yeah, that's exactly why I became the person to tell people about themselves. Because how fucking fake is it to be around a bunch of people who don't tell you about yourself, who lets you be a bitch, who lets you talk to them any old type of way, who lets you talk to other people any type of way, who lets you gossip, who lets you judge, who lets you do all this shit. Who wants to be around enablers? Dead the fuck ass. Like, why would you want to be around someone that's making you into a worse version of yourself? Why would you want to date someone that you can punk out? Why? Because honestly, truly, if you could punk this person out, they're not going to be able to protect you. They're not going to be able to serve you. They're not going to be able to kiss the ground that you truly walk on. Because they're enabling you. They're enabling your bad behaviors. They're enabling your bad habits. They're enabling you to become the worst motherfucking version of yourself. You want to stop drinking? And wait. You have to stop drinking because your drinking is having you abuse motherfuckers, slap motherfuckers in their face. You're crashing into cars. You're killing and taking lives of others. But instead of somebody holding you accountable, telling you that you're wrong, saying that you shouldn't do this, I'm not going to be in your life if you continue this, okay? Instead of people doing that, they let you do whatever the fuck you want. That is not people that love you. That is not people that love you. And that's why I have became the person that I am now and telling people about themselves. And if I don't tell and they don't want to listen to me and they start fights with me and now they're calling me all these types of names, I know what type of bitch you are and I leave you alone. And yes, I said bitch because you're being a bitch. Because I would have killed to have a friend that tell me about myself. Because if I did, I wouldn't have been in situations that I was in for so motherfucking long. But people were so scared. I'm not anymore. I tell people about themselves nowadays. No, you're dead the fuck wrong. And if they don't like that, then I know that I'm just not for them because, hey baby, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. Because what you need to hear is that you're dead the fuck wrong. I'm not going to tell you that you're right, so you end up doing it to somebody else and end up in a certain consequence, a certain karmic cycle, a certain repeated lesson that you don't need to be in. Then you land in the hands of an abuser, somebody that's going to slap and beat you the fuck up. Why would I want that for anybody? Because what bad behaviors is lands in the arms of bad motherfucking people. And that's exactly what happened. I had a nice person in my life. Yes, he was an enabler. I still mistreated him. And I landed in the arms of a fucking cold-hearted blood narcissist. Yeah, because I was the narcissistic person in that relationship. And although he didn't have the guts to stand up, at the end of the day, he still served me the right way. He still was a good person. He still didn't do anything to hurt me. So, of course, his karma will be a little bit better, and then he'll learn about the enabling, which is an easy fix. But if you continue to keep enabling, you'll find yourself in the arms of a narcissist. And if you keep being selfish, you'll find yourself in the arms of a narcissist. And then you'll end up becoming the codependent, the enabler of that narcissist, because they're a bigger narcissist than you are. They've been a narcissist for so motherfucking long. They've been a narcissist. They were 12 years old. So they've been in a game way before you. That's why I said being an enabler is dangerous. It's not always, cool to be that friend that just don't say shit and let your friend act crazy. I'm not that type of friend, and I will never be. You hurt your friend more, you hurt yourself more by letting yourself be enabled. You hurt other people more by enabling them. Because what happens is people don't learn their lessons because they think that they're right. Then their ego gets so big, they continue to act worse and worse and worse and end up in the hands of somebody who's actually worser than them. And this can be violence. This can end in death. This can end in so many different scenarios. And that's why I said it's not okay to enable anyone. Because enabling can also turn to other things that are outside of you, which is drugs, self-harm. And it becomes worse. And it becomes a cycle. And when you're around a bunch of people who do the same thing, this stuff becomes an addiction. This stuff becomes a cycle. And then you end up losing it all. And it gets as certain to losing your life. Because you haven't had anybody around you that was going to say, hey, I don't think you should be doing this. Hey, I don't think this is right. Hey, this isn't what we should be doing. You had a bunch of people that were around with you like, nah, this is okay. This is fine. And then somebody lost their life because somebody said that this was fine. That's how serious it gets. And I don't like to be that type of person that brings darkness into it, but that's how darkness happens. And that's how darkness spread. And that's why I said it's so important to have somebody that tells you about your motherfucking self. You will not grow in a relationship if the motherfucker only lets you do whatever the fuck you want. You will end up being a selfish, narcissistic bitch. And it would only get worse. And then the only way that you can get out of that shit if you find an even worse narcissist. But if you keep getting people that are codependent and enablers, you're gonna become the narcissist that your parent was. And you already know how painful that shit was. How selfish they fucking were. How they didn't give two shits about your feelings. They didn't give a fuck how they hurt you. They didn't care. Because again, you weren't even allowed to speak up and tell them that they were wrong and that they made you feel this type of way, because they considered that disrespect. They were programming you very young to be an enabler, to watch destruction, to accept chaos, to be okay with not owning your mistakes, to be okay with people never saying sorry to you. This is what they were programming you to believe. And then you end up being the same person that say, I don't gotta say shit. I don't have to say sorry to you, you stupid bitch. Listen, I was the most aggressive person you can think of. I didn't give a fuck. Like, I'm telling you, I didn't give a fuck whose feelings I hurt. If I had to hurt your motherfucking feelings, I will. That's just how I was. I don't care. Because what you're not gonna do is that. Like, that was me. But now me today, I'm so big on being that one person that tells people like, hey, you're dead ass wrong. And it's okay to be wrong though. And that's my brand. It's okay to be wrong though, because wrong leads us to being right. And being right is what leads us to the right connections, the right love, the right people. And that's all I want people to experience. I want people to be in a relationship where they're actually wholeheartedly loved. Loved so much that the person is changing them into a better person. That is love. When you are growing into a better person in your relationship, you're constantly growing. You're becoming more soft. You're becoming more stable. You are feeling like yourself. Your inner child is being healed. You feel safe. You feel seen. You feel heard. That is who you are before trauma has trained you to be this cold, selfish, avoidant, abusive, narcissistic person. Or the quiet, never say anything, allow people to walk all over them, have no boundaries, does whatever anyone says, listen, jump when people say jump, do whatever you need to do. You'll be both. Because what happened is, you were first this person who was selfish, then you got karma for that, and now you're dealing with a bunch of people who are now the narcissist, and you're enabling them, and you can't get out of this cycle, and you're drained because you just find yourself being used all the time. But the truth is, because you have to be okay with being wrong. That's the first step. The first step is literally being okay with being wrong. And I was okay with that. Like, I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with people not liking me as well. I'm okay with speaking my voice and being different. I'm okay with that shit now. So since I'm okay with it, I'm willing to speak up. I'm willing to say the things that are uncomfortable and make people shiver. I don't give a shit. If you don't like me, it's because I trigger you. And that's fine too. I don't mind it. But what I do really truly want for people is to stop being the enabler and stop being enabled, and stop controlling people who are enablers, because you know that they don't have the willpower. You know that they are weak, and you know that they're going to do whatever you say. You're dead the fuck wrong. You're dead ass the fuck wrong. Any of it is wrong. But again, it's okay to be wrong, because wrong leads to right. And once you accept that being wrong is okay, and that, you know, we don't have a real manual on how this life shit works besides the Bible. But like, again, if you were taught manipulation and control by the Bible as well, because a lot of people don't know the real message of the Bible, because a lot of people use the Bible to fearmonger, to control, to manipulate. So, you know, a lot of people don't have the Bible to refer back to. All you can really refer back to is yourself, and be comfortable with understanding that we all have flaws, and that you should love the flaws, because the flaws is only reminding you of what you are not. And since the flaws are reminding you of what you are not, you are now able to find out what you are. And that's the beauty about being wrong. Because at the end of the day, I can come back home to what was always right. And if coming back home to what was always right diminishes a lot of things like people, family, friends, careers, then so the fuck be it, because obviously that wasn't meant for me as I'm now discovering who I really am. So yeah, don't be the enabler and don't enable. And don't be the narcissist that tries to control the enables. Okay? It's not fucking cool. It never will be. And it will just show how you're okay with being selfish. And being selfish in a negative way, not in a, oh, I'm taking care of myself way and I'm choosing me way. No, the manipulate and the control selfish will never win in the end. And I'm telling you, it's not worth it.